Up early and it's been a hectic day. I need a little refreshment, so if you don't mind, I think I may just best in the world right there. When we were recently on a trip to Israel, and we had some members of the legislature that came with us, we had a big delegation. One of the things you do is you go to what they call the Western Wall in the old city of Jerusalem, which was one of the walls of the Second Jewish Temple, and you write a message and stick it in the wall and pray to God that that comes true. And I'm happy to say that my plea was for no more hurricanes in the state of Florida this year. All right, anytime. But it was interesting, we did a lot to try to strengthen business ties, academic ties, but one of the things that we were talking about even all the way over halfway around the world was ways to combat some of the diseases that have afflicted our citrus growers. And so whether we find solutions here or we find solutions there, we're in search of solutions, and we want to make sure that our growers are on the best foundation that they can. I want to recognize some of the legislators who are here. We have Senator Albritton, one of your own. Thank you, Ben, for all you've done. Senator Baxley, second time we've been together this week because we're just doing so many great things that you just have to do it. Senator Mayfield, Debbie Mayfield, good friend of mine, thank you. And then Representative Ray Rodriguez. Is this your district right here? Yeah, so he is doing a great job, and I think is looking to go to the upper chamber in the Florida legislature. So I also want to know, I don't know if she's here yet, but our agriculture commissioner, oh, there you are, okay, Nikki Freed, who's been great to work with. As was mentioned, when we came into office, I had been in the Congress during the whole Hurricane Irma situation, which was in 2017. I think it was September, October of 2017. So we in the Congress obviously supported, different assistance, not just for Florida, but for Puerto Rico and Texas, which also faced significant storms. And I thought that that was good and appropriate. And as you know, there was really a potentially innovative citrus program, just given what had happened here, to try to shore up the citrus industry. Well, when we got into office, people had told us that, not much has been done and not many people have seen much money on this. And so that was something that I was really concerned about. So on day one, I instructed Jared Moskowitz, who's here running our Department of Emergency Management. Where's Jared? I said, listen, I hate bureaucracy and red tape. I mean, to have something appropriated and then just have it toil because the bureaucrats can't get their act together, I'm done with that. We're not doing that. So I said, Jared, get it done. And I think it was important that I did that, but ultimately, he had to have the ability to navigate this and to really streamline this so that we could get relief in the hands of the folks here in the citrus industry. So I'm happy to report that on January 8th, when I took over as governor, less than $500,000 had been paid out by the state of Florida for the citrus grants. As we stand here today, we've paid out, just over the last 4 or 5 months, $75 million, and we're going to do more. So I want to personally thank Jared for his hard work. He's really made a difference for the citrus industry and for other folks throughout the state, like in Northwest Florida, who were reeling from Hurricane Michael. We've done a lot of great things for them. There's a long road, but we're in much better position thanks to Jared. Also want to thank our friends from Citrus Mutual, Mike Sparks and Matt Joyner. Thank you for keeping us informed and letting us know how things are going. I'm hoping that this relief, will help. I think that we're in a much better position now than we were a year ago, which is a good thing. So we want to keep that momentum going. We are in a situation where the citrus industry not only is an important part of Florida's economy, but it's an iconic part of Florida's way of life. I mean, when people think of Florida, they think of Florida oranges, and we do it better here than anywhere else. And so we all, I think, have an interest in the continued success of the industry. And so, this recovery block grant is one way. I've also supported efforts to combat some of the diseases that have really made it more difficult to be in this space, and we'll continue to do that. And if we find something, that is a silver bullet, I mean, we're going to put resources there to be able to deliver those benefits to the state of Florida. One of the things that I've seen going on nationally, and here we are making really a significant investment of taxpayer dollars to be able to mitigate the damage of Hurricane Irma. Now is not the time to risk bringing in citrus from South Africa that may have problems with pests and other types of diseases. And so I know that's being contemplated right now. I'm going to see the president on Tuesday, and I'm going to let him know that's probably not in our interest here. So we'll deliver that message. And I can say this, the president has been very attentive to Florida's needs, not just with Hurricane Matthew, but the money that we got for the Tamiami Trail. We're going to be able to finish raising that road. That's going to help with water flow throughout the state of Florida. He's also, even though the Air Force bureaucracy is not considering Florida as home to Space Command, the combatant command, the president says he is considering Florida, and he makes the call on that. So he's kept Florida in the ballgame on that. So I think that when issues like this happen, he's somebody that understands it, because this is, effectively his home now. He's not been back to New York, I don't think, since he's been president. He has spent a lot of time here in the state of Florida. So we'll deliver that message, and I think that will be something that he will be receptive to, because obviously, we want our folks here in Florida to be successful, and we don't want to embrace policies that are going to make it more difficult to succeed. That said, I would just like to report, we're doing well, I think, as a state. We just finished a legislative session where we made huge strides, not just in some of the things we did for the hurricane-affected areas, but if you look at some of the healthcare reforms, if you look at some of the education reforms, if you look at some of the things we're doing in transportation. I was just at the SunTrax facility in Polk County, which is a really neat facility. Phase 1's just completed. They're going to have another phase, but this is a massive facility basically designed to test transportation technologies, including things like autonomous vehicles. And so we have, I just signed legislation here that the legislature passed to really make Florida, I think, the leader in autonomous vehicle technology, to invite in folks and companies who want to do well to come here, show what they have, let us test it. We want something that's safe but reliable and could potentially improve our transportation situations. And it's interesting, when we were in Israel, I'm there with Prime Minister Netanyahu. He's talking about autonomous vehicles. And so, these are just things where I think we across the board did a lot of stuff. We'll sign the budget probably sometime next week. The legislature presented me a budget that was about $91.1 million. I haven't gone through everything and made final decisions, but you can bet that it will be less than $91.1 billion when I get through with it, because that's just the way it is. But whatever it ends up, our budget in Florida, even though we made historic investments in the Everglades and water resources, we have the highest amount of funding for school districts that we've ever had in the history of the state, and yet we reduced taxes by almost $400 million, and we're going to have between $1 billion and $1.5 billion when all said and done of a surplus to put in reserves. And so we are doing it the right way. We're fiscally responsible. We're not taking on a bunch of liabilities that we have no hope of ever paying back, which some other states have done. New York State has less people than the state of Florida, and their budget's almost twice as big as our budget. And yet they can never raise taxes enough to make it work. Our budget in Florida with 22 million people is less than just the budget of New York City. So I think we are really being respectful of people's tax dollars. We are maintaining a low tax environment, which I think is very key to Florida's continued success. And we're doing it in a way we are meeting challenges that are facing our state, but we're doing it in fiscally responsible ways and in ways that are sustainable over the long term. So if you look at somebody like Warren Buffett said, beware investing in states like Illinois, where they have all these liabilities and really have no way to dig out of the hole that they've dug for themselves. In Florida, we have, good prognosis going forward. Now, the economy's not always going to be good. I mean, these things go in cycles, but I think the fact that we've been responsible, we've prepared for changes in the economy, and I think we're in a much better position to come out of a national downturn much better than we did in the last one. So I just say that because I think that we have a lot of great things going on in this state. It's obviously a great place to visit. It always has been. We've obviously produced a lot of great agriculture, most, notably citrus. But we're seeing a bunch of things throughout different corners of the state. And so, for you folks that have kids, growing up, going to high school, they go to college in Florida, they're going to have a lot of opportunities to do a lot of different things. And that may not have been true 50 or 60 years ago. So all in all, I think we're very blessed to be Floridians. And I couldn't be happier to be able to make a positive impact as your governor. So we're going to continue pressing forward with all these things. We have an open door, so if you all need anything, just come by the office and give us a holler. So thank you all, and God bless you. Take care.